Hello, everybody. Dave Neal here, stand-up comic and host of Bachelor Nation News. Well, we got it. That's right. One of our favorites of all time in the Bachelor Nation world, Clare Crawley, has joined me to talk about motherhood. As you guys know, it is officially Labor Week here on the channel. That being my wife and I are probably on our way to the hospital or at the hospital or have already delivered. Maybe baby is nestled into my chest with the baby Bjorn or we're swaddling. I'm not really sure. We'll have more information on that. But as a sort of celebration of life, I thought it would be great to talk to some Bachelor alumni and Bachelor podcasters that we love that are parents. And so we've got a whole week's worth of that content for you. Trust me, this conversation is amazing. I think so. We talked to Clare about being a mom, overcoming the communication issues that always come with new parenting and things like that. But we also talked about her time on the show, on The Bachelor, which reality TV show she wants to do, and whether or not she would let her new daughter be a part of Bachelor Nation. So we have all of that, plus a very frank and candid conversation about the abuses that one takes while being a contestant and lead on the show. You're going to love this episode. If you want to listen to it, you can go check out it in its entirety on Bachelor Rush Hour, the podcast. So rather than give a bunch of updates in a bunch of random places, here's what I'm going to do. Any updates I can share with you regarding my personal, journey with delivery and fatherhood, I'll have those in the description of the podcast. So you can go listen to this episode on the podcast, and then you can see in the description whatever updates we have. We might not have any. We might have a whole bunch. You'll go check them over there. In the meantime, you can enjoy this episode, like I said, at Bachelor Rush Hour, wherever you listen to podcasts, or also right here. So enjoy my chat with Clare Crawley. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a big day if you know my channel because it's one of our favorites, former Bachelorette Clare Crawley. How are you?
I'm so good. I am so good, especially today. The sun is finally out here, thriving.
You've got like a Taylor Swift vibe going on, might I add, too. Is this the new era of Clare Crawley?
I think so. Oh my God. It's so funny. It's like, I think there's a big thing of when you see people on TV 10 years ago, 5 years ago, I don't care what it is. And like, or even on social media, and like, you think you know who they are and how their lives are. My life is honestly a short from husband, marriage, baby. Everything is pretty much the same. I still am like, have this very normal life. I garden, I hike, like same stuff I've always done. So
now you went from being on The Bachelor and then had, a little bit of a gap there and then came back. What was it like to go kind of from the notoriety to back to normal life to then having even a higher level of fame with the show?
Honestly, things didn't change much in my personal life at all. I still have the same exact friends I had before, same people I love, same family, like same things I do with my life. But it just, I don't know, it was not much difference. I think the biggest difference was social media and how further social media came when I first started on TV versus the last time I was on TV. Like that's a huge difference. And I was not prepared for that. And I don't think anybody is ever prepared for that.
Well, I tell you what, I have to give you credit because my channel took off as a full-time job during and after your season. So your ability to command so much conversation from the audience really shows that you're being authentic because people have a lot of opinions based on you. Did that surprise you following your season that there'd be so many opinions?
I think it was it was a very odd season because there was so much stuff that had not happened before and there was nothing really for anybody to talk about, to think about, to focus on. And I think it was one of those things that was like waiting to come back from COVID, waiting to get going, waiting to start filming. So there was a lot that happened prior to that. There was a lot of stuff that was like unheard of within the show that was happening, that was changing, as that was going on. So I think there was a lot of new stuff that people just had stuff to chat about, but it was very, very different for me. Very different than I expected.
And I agree that the pandemic really helped us or maybe it wasn't a good thing, but we focused more on just very simple, non-controversial. We blew everything out of proportion because we're just sitting there waiting to just have these conversations. And what I learned was that so many people wanted to talk about what was happening off the show with you after your season was over. But to be completely honest, I think the most interesting thing about you is that you got a 3-month-old. So I want to talk about the baby.
I would love to talk about her.
Please, I'm in full soon-to-be dad mode, building bassinets and cribs. I'm looking at all of the shirts with the pockets that you can stuff the kid in. What's it been like the first 3 months?
It's crazy. I feel like there's not a day go by that I don't cry of like looking at her and being like, is this my daughter? You know, like even thinking about it, I'm like, this is my dream come true in every way possible, to have my daughter, to have my husband that's the most supportive in our family and whatever I want, whatever we want. Like, it's just, I pinch myself every day. I'm like, this is everything I've ever dreamt of. Everything I've ever dreamt of. And just even the moments where like a couple nights ago, I slept, I think 3.5 hours that night. And in the middle of the night, I just was like, I want to get up again and stare at her because like, I just miss her. Like it's heaven on earth for me. Even now, the hardest, most challenging parts.
Well, what I'm trying to experience, or what I'm kind of looking for, is like making it, you know, like today's world, 2024, how do we raise a kid versus how our parents did it? And things have changed so much. What did you bring into being a mom that you might have learned from how you were parented versus like new techniques and tricks?
I don't even know. Obviously, for me, it's the thing that I go back to is that I'm the youngest of 6 girls. So I think there was a lot in my brain that I'm like, I was forgotten. I mean, not to say that this is how it happened, but in my head, I'm like, I was like, do I have a flat head because I was not picked up enough because there was so many sisters? And, you know, like, did I learn how to walk early because I didn't have a choice? And so I come up with all these theories, but in my head, when I parent Rowan now, I mean, she's still so young, but in my head, I'm like, I'm just going to give her so much attention. I have 2 stepdaughters, but she's my only child. So for me, I'm like, I just have all this attention and love for her that I can just pour into her, you know, her solely. So I'll sit all day and read with her. I'll like give her garden tours every single day, like just pour my love into her.
Yeah, you know, I'm looking forward to the same thing. I think, you know, skin to skin contact is something that people talk about more now than ever. You know, I come from like parents that were like, let your kid cry themselves to sleep. And I always say like, well, that's why we all need weighted blankets now, because we all have anxiety, because maybe crying, we just want to be held, right? So I will for sure be doing many YouTube videos while I'm holding the baby's wrapped into me.
Totally.
How has having a baby improved or changed your communication style with your partner? And what have you learned by like boundary setting and things like that, as far as how you guys share responsibilities?
I will tell you, one of the greatest things about Ryan is that he's like more than 50% of a partner. Like, he's one of those that believe that if you've got 20 in the tank today, I'll give, 60. Like, he's very, very much, I don't think I've heard, I mean, this is the truth in life, but like, especially with the baby, and why I chose him as a partner too. I was like, I was actually thinking about Juan Pablo the other day and what I said to him at the very end. And I was thinking about it, and I was like, it was a clip that had popped up somewhere and tagged me. And it was like, I would never want my children having a father like you. And I was thinking about Ryan, and I was like, I am so thankful that my daughter has a father like him, because he is exactly like, he at 3:00, we split the night in half. I don't know, this is one of the most helpful tips somebody gave me, and it works so well for us, but we split the night in half. Like, whatever Rowan needs up till 3:00 in the morning, Ryan goes to bed at like 8:00. So whatever she needs up until 3:00 in the morning, if she's asleep, I'll sleep. If she's awake, I'll be awake. 3:00 in the morning, I go to bed, I'll sleep till like 8 or 9, sometimes maybe 7. But so we each get chunks of sleep and not broken sleep. But he'll be on from 3 to 9 for me. And sometimes more of the time she's up for him. But he pops up with no problem, and he'll come in and he will never complain, not one time. So he's the greatest dad, And he'll be like, what can I do? What can I do for you? How can I help you? And he'll bring me waters, and he'll bring me things. And he's just a very present partner.
That's so amazing to hear. I think traditionally men have, in the past they say, never change diapers or never did this. And I think it's about like educating everyone to be a part of the process. And some things might come more naturally to the mom than the father. And that's not a cop out. I have a new book that's like how to feed your wife for the first 40 days. And it's like,
Totally.
oh, that sounds like practical for me. Bone broths, this.
So I
I would
can
have
do
never known.
this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like we just want to make sure it's a pleasant experience. And this interview with you right now, and I appreciate you so much for doing this, is going to be one of the interviews we air as we're delivering, so I can have content that my audience gets. So for those listening, it's the real deal. We're in the middle of it. But any other tips that you have for the young parents, please share them with us.
I will tell you, the biggest thing that we've learned to do is literally just laugh. There are so many days we're so sleep deprived. We're so exhausted. She's got, I hate to say this, but like poop up the back of her neck and her hair. And you're just like, I just changed a diaper 7.5 minutes ago. And the only thing you can do is literally where you just want to be like, just laugh at it and be like, what just happened? Or she's puking everywhere, projectile puking. And you're just like, what? I just changed my clothes.
Yeah, I didn't know. I didn't realize how messy it was going to be till I started reading the packaging of the diapers, and it's all like blowout barrier, and I'm like, whoa, this sounds aggressive.
Oh my god, it's and then you're like, all you drink is milk. Like what? Where's all this coming from? How is it getting up here each and every time? And it's like, it's just milk, but it's there.
I'm so happy to hear that it sounds like you're thriving. In 25 years, if we could look into the future and The Bachelor still exists, does your daughter do you approve if she wants to go on, if she ever wants to be a part of this crazy franchise?
I'll tell you, I would say 100% no. If the world is what it is now, and if the audience is what it is now, and if the producers are what the producers are now within the show, absolutely not.
Yeah,
absolutely not. There's a million things I will support and be there for and have her back. This is something it's honestly, Dave, I'm still deep in the thickets of therapy because of behind the scenes stuff. And it's not to make it serious for a second, but it's stuff that is, I think people don't talk enough about the mental health part of it that affects you. And it's a very toxic place for mental health. It's, everybody says it's what you sign up for. It's all this, but when it comes to humanness, there's a lot of things where you're like, if you put this into a relationship, these boundaries or what you do, nobody would put up with that. It's hard and it sucks. It sucks at hindsight. When you're in the middle of it, you're like, this is great. They're my best friend. And that's what they want you to feel and think. And it's same with other relationships. That's how they keep you around. We love you. We're going to give you a good edit. People are going to love you. We would never do that to you. And then they go back and do it to you. And you're just like, what are you doing?
I always look at it as like corporations are psychopathic, and Bachelor as a whole is psychopathic in the sense that in the end, everyone's going to do what's best for their job security. And if that involves making you look a certain way that's unbecoming, you're the person who has to then live with that, because audiences might not be as evolved to see you as a more dimensional person than what happened on screen. But what I loved about your season, as brief as it was, I love that you weren't afraid to show like who you were, and some of that involved possibly like moments of anxiety. How did you feel on the show dealing with anxiety versus any anxiety you had throughout the leading up to having the baby? Because those are both very big moments, and anxiety usually comes under like high pressure situations.
Yeah, I've realized that my body has essentially been in fight or flight for the last 10 years. And anxiety is anxiety. Anxiety on the show, I think I would talk about it and I would share it. I was more, especially when I was on The Bachelorette. When I was on The Bachelor, I was like hiding my anxiety. That was the peak of like, I'm cool, and like bearing it down. But the more evolved I got, the more I went to therapy, the more that I was doing inner work and self-work, the more I was like, I'm going to talk about it and share it, because we all experience it. I don't care who you are, we experience it. So the anxiety is like, it basically is, for me, I'll talk about it all day and every day. If I'm feeling it, I'll talk about it, because to me, it gets it out. It gets it out, and it's all the same. Anxiety is anxiety. Fight or flight is fight or flight. And especially on the show, it was like the tiger is chasing you. How do I protect myself? Whereas with new baby, it's just like, I want to do the best I can. And I want to like, I don't know. It's same but different, I guess. I don't know how to explain it. Like, it's an exciting anxiety, more of like a nervous, like I want to do the right thing, versus like protect myself.
Yeah, like you're not on the defensive so much as you might have been on the show.
Yeah, and I think on the show, there was a lot, what people read from me and what people got from me and what I was defensive Claire. The Claire that's like, I need to be strong. I need to have my guard up. I need to stand up for myself. And I will do that every single day, all day. But it became a lifestyle and like a personality of mine on the show, of like, with producers, with, you know, are they recording all the time? Are there cameras in my room watching me naked? Like it was a constant anxiety of like, I need to protect myself, versus just, okay, now I can calm down and actually like be myself. And who I really am is like laid back, chill. I'm not barely ever serious. I just love to just like chill and hang out, you know? And I think people see the protective Claire.
Oh yeah. And to relate that back to like early parenthood, what we've learned is that oxytocin gets blocked when you're in a fear state or in a fight or flight state. You can't release the emotions of love when you're fighting, because I think the way that the body works is it's like fight or flight means get to a safe zone, and you're less worried about like being a mother and more worried about like getting to a higher ground. So it feels like how is The Bachelor conducive to finding love if you don't even trust people are going to put you in the right mindset for that? And I think that's probably what the show lacks.
You are 1,000% right. You're 1,000% right. If you're always on the defensive and the protective, there's no way you can be open and closed off and protective at the same time. You try your best. You want that. But what I'm realizing truthfully is that it's not a good environment for that.
Yeah, and that's why a lot of people have learned maybe being a contestant is better than the lead, because you get to have a little bit of the fun side. Matt James, of course, was not really liked because no one got to see his goofiness. And also, I don't mean to bring him up, but he did send a very nonverbal jab your way in a recent episode, naming all of the recent bachelorettes and didn't name you. What are you guys? Can we break some bread with you and Matt? Do you guys have like a thing, or is it just one of those sidebar kind of like?
I have no idea. Can I be honest? I feel like it's funny too with like, I'm indifferent. Like, I don't know who he is. I don't care who he is. I don't follow him or anything. So it's almost like there's not beef, but there's not like, I wouldn't even probably recognize him on the street if I saw him. So I don't know. It's a very like,
not to instigate anything as like a middle child here, but it does seem more playful than anything. It doesn't seem like there's any real animosity, because you guys don't. How can you not like someone you've never met? But it was just, I think he's was being goofy on a podcast. So I don't mean to say that it was some jab, but we've enjoyed you so much. I don't want to keep you much longer. Is there anything you want to get off your chest or discuss here that I did not hit in the world of Claire?
Can we talk about this really quick? Because I've been coming across this a lot lately, especially right now with this Golden Bachelor, and I think this is the most recent one. And in all fairness, I have not watched the show since I've been on it. I do not keep up with like the currents. I just know like through media and stuff like that, or through social media of like what I see and names of people are. So I don't know full stories, but what I will say on this is that it's driving me nuts seeing people be like, they broke up after 3 months of marriage, or these people broke up, or that people broke up. And it's so crazy to me, because it's like, or why did you be the Bachelorette again? And why would you go on the show again and again? It blows my mind, because I feel like there's an audience here where people are just wanting you to be normal like them, but also holding you to the standard of not them. And so it's this weird space of like, this is what relationships are. This is what they do. You try. If it doesn't work out, that's okay. You move on. You try the next one. You try again. You try again. You try again. This is what relationships are. And people are so judgmental on like, I cannot believe they did this. And my first 10 boyfriends, we broke up, like my first engagement, we broke up. Like people break up, people get divorces, people break up all the time. It's this weird thing to me where people are like, I thought better for them. And it's like, just because you're on a show doesn't mean you're not human. My biggest thing is at least they're out there trying. I don't know what the Golden Bachelor's story is. I don't know what their whole behind the scenes are. We will never know, nor do I care. I care that they keep trying. I care that they put themselves out there versus the people sitting in the audience, judging and watching them. That's my biggest thing is like, you're trying over and over and over. I judge harder on the people that get hurt by love and don't ever try again and cut themselves off and detach from it. I care that they're trying over and over and over. And if you're out there trying and you fail, oh, well, try again.
Yeah. The bar is so
high. I have such a problem with that.
The bar is set so high for y'all when you're on the show. You really can't know about a relationship until you take it out of the safe space of the safe house visits and put it into real life. Like, how much gym time and how much quality time. And you don't really get to learn those love languages until you
put
people.
Do they call the paparazzis on themselves?
Well, you don't call the paparazzi on yourself? Come on. That's
I can say I've never done that, nor will I ever do that. If anything, I'm like,
I want you to know, I think I was the first to share that story when your ex called the paparazzi on himself. Look, I lived in New York City. The paparazzi don't even recognize Brad Pitt unless he calls him.
They can care less.
Now,
I die.
It's gotta be tough when there is sort of like a he said, she said of it all. How have you sort of taken the high road in your own way from moving on? And because, I'm sure right now you have a baby and life's happy, you found the man, but like, I'm sure there's that bubble of time where you're like, they're misrepresenting what happened. Like, how do you digest all that?
Well, there is 90% of it is misrepresented. I will say that, but I will also say for me, I know what happened on or off camera. I know the truth. I know my character, and I know that there's nothing that I have, nothing that I do that like, I'm not shady like that. I'm not calling the paparazzi on myself. I'm not doing stuff. So it's like, bring it to the table for me because I stand behind, I'm not saying I'm furthest thing from perfect, but for me, it's like, I know I have a good character and I know I don't do people dirty and I know I don't take advantage of people or use people. So anything other than that, it's like, have integrity, and that I can stand behind.
I there's a reason why I think I root for bachelorettes like you and Caitlin Bristow. There's this sort of like energy about holding the bar high for the people that you surround yourself with and not accepting anything lower than that. And while you might not get that in every relationship, when you find the person that can live up to that sort of that bar that you set, I think that's just a very magical thing.
Agreed.
Now what how often do you see a story about you? Because I have a playlist of Claire stories. How often do you like what gets you to click on something versus like, oh, is this a hater? I think once you sent me a message that maybe a sister of yours or someone sent you one of my pieces of content. How do you navigate the fact that people will talk about you?
I think I don't know. I go through phases of it. There's times where I'm like, what? Why? I don't understand it. But then there's also times where I know that I say things how I feel, and I know it's not always the majority or it's what people want to hear, what makes people happy, or if it's controversial. I'll say whatever I feel is on my heart. And if it triggers people, that's okay. If it doesn't, that's also okay. If it makes headlines, I could care less. If it doesn't, if it does, it doesn't. To me, I'm like, the people that know me know who I am. The people that I love me, and I love them. And so that's who I care that they know the truth, And aside from that, whatever, people are going to, if people want to make a story, if people want to make assumptions about you, they're going to think and feel that anyway. So it's nothing I could do or nothing I can change or say to convince them otherwise.
Depending on my day, I feel that way, or I'll succumb to battling with people online. But
trust me, I have my moments. There's plenty of times where people are like, will say things to me, and I'm like, and Ryan will be like, take the high road, Claire, take the high road. And I'm like, just a minute, man, because it's like they hold you to the standard of who they think you are. And there's a lot of times where I will comment back and I'm just joking or saying something and it's not that serious. And people will be like, you're so sensitive. I'm like, you think I am, and you're interpreting because of who you think I am. I'm not that way.
Would you do any non-dating reality? There's a House of Villains.
Totally. Yes. You know what I want to do?
What's that?
Special Forces.
Yeah.
I would kill it. And not only that, I mean, kill it for myself, but like, I want to do it just because it's, I don't know. The number one thing I want to teach my daughter is resilience. And I just want to be able to be like, I did that. That's the prime example of like, you show up and it's about your character. It's about your tenacity. And it's not about like how good you are at something. It's about if you like keep showing up for it.
Now they had a season in the very hot desert and then in the cold. Which one would you be better at, in the heat or the cold?
The heat, for sure.
And what's a big fear of yours? Like they had people falling backwards out of helicopters. Like what's a no-go for you?
Oh man, I would say anything with water is probably like the hardest thing for me. I don't know. I have this overwhelming, even in pools, I'm like, is a shark going to get my leg? Is an alligator going to get my leg? So if I can't see the bottom.
Now, what if you show up on day one and you're prepared to spend this grueling experience, and then Yosef is there as well? I mean, that's got to be a tough to bet. And
you think for 1 second that guy intimidates, scares, will deter me from doing something I want to do or love doing? Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I don't want to take up any more of your time. I love how outspoken you are. I can't wait till your daughter is outspoken and you get to hear a little Claire giving it right back to you. And send me a DM if there's any other parenting advice that comes my way. But I'm going to be, I absorb all the different, influencer parenting things that are out there. I'm in full parenting algorithm right now online. So I really appreciate you taking the time to share some of that with me.
Of course. And my biggest thing to you too is like, do what you feel is right. There's so many different opinions out there, whether it's whatever book you read, whatever person comments, whatever auntie, whatever cousin, whatever person online, you just do what's best. And you will literally know that in your gut and you'll feel it. And you'll do great at it. I can't wait for you.
Oh, thanks so much. Claire, everybody.